Alrighty, good evening, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Primecast, your number one stop for, pretty much everything random that happens to go on that's either funny, interesting, or what the hell, pretty much every couple of weeks. I am your host, J. Kuhn Prime, and we got a fun show for you tonight. We're going to be talking about a few things. We're going to be talking about the upcoming tournament known as Combo Breaker. For any of you casuals out there, you'll get another little peek inside the world of the FGC. We're going to be talking about Marvel Rivals and all the controversy that went on with that. Apologies for that. And apparently, the internet's racist again. So we're going to talk about Assassin's Creed Shadows. And then last but not least, we're going to be talking about, since it's now officially over for the season, we are going to chat it up about X-Men'97. So just a heads up, we will be talking spoilers. The series is over, at least for right now. But I will not be doing this alone. As always, I have my wonderful co-host with me, Mr. Hoarder Gamer. What's going on, Hoarder?
Hello, everybody. And first off, I have to say, why didn't you pick up my call? That was very important a moment ago.
Because it's not you.
Then it's me again, right? I tried.
Yeah. Hey, hang on. That's actually my niece. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so one second.
Sure.
If it's family, it might be important.
Oh, I understand.
Yeah. But as always, we do have a set of guests with us tonight. One of them was pretty much on the front lines of Marvel Rivals with me, and that is none other than King Greek. Hello, King. How you doing?
Hello, King.
Hello, people and races of the world. Hopefully you all are doing well tonight.
Okay, right on. All right, and then last but not least is actually a former brother-in-arms of mine from the old Broken Alliance days and a fellow Brotherhood of the Bald, none other than Ragnarok, or Uncle Rags, as he is now calling himself, apparently.
That was not the intro song we agreed to or that I sent you.
Well,
I'll let it slide,
though. Me for that one. I told you that disclaimer you were going to have to handle on your own. But as we start off the show, as we always do, we like to kind of gas everybody up at the beginning of the show, and we're just going to kind of go around the table here. And Hoarder, what you been playing this week, or what is something cool that happened to you this week?
So I'm incredibly excited about Fable hopefully being at the Xbox event in June, as it was last year with a really awesome trailer featuring Richard Ayoade, hilarious as a giant. So I'm hoping we get more and maybe a release date for it. So I've played Fable all the way through, and now I'm working on Fable 2. And Fable 2 is everything Fable was, but much better. Like, it's awesome. I kid you not, it's one of, I think, the best games I've played.
Right on. Yeah, I did. I never played the first one. I did play Fable 2 and 3. And back when I did play it, I may have forsaken the entire world to make sure my dog came back to life. I may have done that.
Yeah, you could do some pretty wild things depending on if you're good or
you
evil.
could save everybody on the planet, or you can just bring your dog back. Man, to hell with all y'all. Give me my dog. But all right, Ragnarok. What have you been playing, or what is something cool that has happened to you this week?
I'm on vacation this week, so that's always cool. I have been resuming my playthrough on Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous, game I bought a couple years ago. I've put well over 1,300 hours into. Yeah.
And how are your hands after the finger gymnastics that is the Ermac training?
Well, I tell you, not competing seriously for like 4 years and then hopping into like Ermac of all characters, the way he's designed MK1, that shit hurt.
Yeah. Arthritis came early.
Oh, yeah. I was like, damn, really? I got to
just over here like, I'm good.
Yeah. Yeah, they definitely, he's fun, but man,
It is definitely a situation, like, because you and I have been like Ermac devotees for a long time, and it's like such a drastic change in how he's normally played, and I'm just sitting here going like, what have they done? This is awesome, but what have they done?
Yeah, definitely gonna be wearing out this controller soon, I'm sure.
Yeah. And speaking of wearing out controllers, Mr. Greek, what have you been playing, or what is something cool that has happened to you this week?
It's mostly just been playing stuff. If I haven't been messing around on Marvel Rivals, I've been on Marvel Snap trying to catch it back up so I can finish my stuff for this season, so I don't feel like I wasted my money buying the season pass for this month. And I've also and on the side I've also been playing Ghost Runner 2, which is a game I do very much enjoy. It was a short game, but I'm glad I got to finish it because I didn't get to finish the first one.
Yeah. But all right. Excellent answers across the board. So let's move on through the itinerary. And of course, like we do every single episode now, I say that like we've been doing this for years and we're only on episode 3. But we're going to go ahead and get the boring stuff out of the way, at least for most of you. But for me and Hoarder, we love it. And that is, of course, it is time for another glorious showing of Jay and Hoarder's Double Ds.
Yep.
So over here in the Destiny world, Destiny has always been the kings of accelerated promotion, and they did not disappoint this week. Not only did they show off a bunch of new exotic armor pieces for all the character classes, they also showed off a bunch of brand new exotic weapons, one of which is a heavy trace rifle. So this is going to be a giant laser beam rifle that's in the heavy weapon slot, which is normally like the special weapon slot, said to imbue the light of the Traveler itself. Until you read the description of it, and it's like, oh, bonus damage to shields. And it's like, I feel like you fumbled on the 1 yard line here. And then you turn around and do something like the Still Hunt sniper rifle. Now, show of hands who here like has played Destiny or is at least aware of it a little bit. Okay. How many of you are aware of the Hunter class and the Golden Gun?
Yes.
Okay.
I only know one golden gun, sir, and it is not in Destiny.
Fair enough. Thank you for making me feel old yet again. All right, so the Still Hunt sniper rifle is going to basically imbue all hunters by having its own Golden Gun mode. So you are going to have a Hunter super that is now going to be usable to everyone.
Wow.
And that's actually insane.
That is.
And then, of course, you have the armor that honestly was a little lackluster until you got to the Titans, where apparently just dodging will just send a flurry of rockets out of thin air towards your opponents. So that was kind of cool. The rest of them, honestly, were not even worth mentioning. But those two things were really, really good. And it looks like the 6-month-long season of The Wish is finally going to be getting its finale this Tuesday. So we will actually see the conclusion of the story that's supposed to lead up to the new expansion, The Final Shape. That's everything on the Destiny front. How about you, Hoarder?
So
Didn't even put on the hat this time. Just
Diablo 4 had a massive week. Basically, on Tuesday they launched season 4 of the seasons that they do, and it was basically a whole big thing called Loot Reborn. So basically, going through itemization and making things a lot better, and quality of life changes. The largest amount of changes and content since the game launched in June of 2023. And it's been awesome so far. So in early game, you're basically going and you are tempering weapons, and you have 5 attempts, 3 on the item, and then 2 that are just like gimmies, you know, so you get a total of 5. And if you don't get what you want, you can brick the item, but in a way that you're just locked into whatever affix that was. Mm-hmm. Even if it's not the affix you wanted. So you still have the weapon, you can still use it, but it might be an affix that won't be advantageous to you. So there's that. Then they have Helltide, which is one of the best parts of Diablo 4. It's this big sprawling area that moves around every 55 minutes to different regions of Sanctuary. And basically, you're fighting these insane demons. It's more challenging. You get more experience. Plus, there's cool, unique little mini events that occur there. And they added a new boss called the Blood Maiden. And now you can actually start doing this stuff at tier 1 and tier 2. So you can use this for your early leveling journey. You don't have to wait to tier 3 or tier 4 like you used to. And that's because they base this on the Season of Blood, Season 2, what they did in a version of Helltide there, which was kind of like ruled by vampires.
Mhm.
So very cool stuff. And then when you get to endgame, level 100, then you get into mastering your weapon up to 12 freaking levels, and you do something called the Pit, which is incredibly difficult and only gets more difficult, and it's similar to the Diablo 3 Greater Rifts. So basically you're using that to get these materials, and then you're basically upgrading your weapon to insane levels right there. And then there's all these other little quality of life changes, and just about everyone is very happy with this season.
Excellent. All right, so let me have it. What's going on with Suicide Squad?
Well, we got really surprised because last Friday, there's always a blog update about the game. So they've been doing that for, I'd say, about 2 months now, roughly. And it was rather short and just talked about how there's a new mechanic called Punish and then one called Heads or Tails. So the gear that's going to be launching in episode 2 of season 1, which at that point we didn't know when it was coming out, basically is built around Two-Face. So all the loot and everything, or all the weapons and stuff, kind of based around the character of Two-Face. Some other villains as well, but he's kind of the main focus. Just like last season was Scarecrow, or last episode was Scarecrow. So you got that, but then they shocked us, and about 2 or 3 hours later, they said episode 2 of season 1 coming May 23rd. So what gets exciting about that is there's a new gameplay mode called Out of Orbit. They talked about this like maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago, and it involves like versions of the Justice League Tower are basically being like phased in, and then like almost like different versions of teammates, and it's complicated, but it sounds really awesome. Plus a ton of quality of life things, a Superman battle, a Superman infused Brainiac. Then there's also the Daily Chuckle, which is possibly a story mission. And it'll be interesting to see exactly what a full season looks like. Because story-wise, it was threadbare when it came to episode 1. So my hope, and the hope of everyone playing still, is that basically it'll be more story and exciting things going on in this episode. And we'll find out Thursday.
I would actually be really curious to see how many concurrent players are still actively playing Suicide Squad.
I wish I could get those console numbers. I wish.
Yeah, I really wish I could, because, like, number one, it's always really silly to me how everyone instantly pulls up the Steam numbers, and it's like,
yes,
you are aware that that's not the only place that this game is present, right? Like, quit being a dumbass.
Also, too, at Arkham Knight, there were serious issues with the PC version. So I feel that people that are in the know would be like, hey, maybe I should get the console version if I can, rather than the PC version.
Yeah. And I mean, I still have my Xbox version of it. So, like, push comes to shove, I could always play there. But, like, yeah, at this point, like, I've made this pretty clear before that, like, with as many irons in the fire as I have, like, Suicide Squad would really have to blow my socks off in order for me to go, all right, I'll come back and play. But right now, I'll probably watch you play it. So, but right now, not super impressed. Not really super impressed. How about you, Greek? Are you looking forward to going back to Suicide Squad? I can never
see it in his eyes.
like it's don't get me wrong, right? well, first off, I do feel a little bit spoiled with Rivals because that's the only superhero game that's been on my mind the past week. I haven't touched Suicide Squad in a while, and Rivals has only made it worse because it reminded me about how much I did want to boot up Suicide Squad again until things got better. My whole thing is this. I do like the fact that they're rolling back a lot of the previous mistakes that they made. Like, for example,
Yes.
with season one of the biggest issues that I've been very vocal about would be them giving us a brand new modifier and then making it so that one of the main things that we use in gameplay is now immune to it. So basically, any build that you made the first episode is just now rendered useless. The new
that was one of the dumbest things I had ever seen. Like,
the new mission out of orbit, because I believe because I put it up here like this is what it was because I know Horder didn't get it all the ways. Brainiac is on the hunt for his next world to invade, and he's phasing in corrupted Justice League watchtowers to locate his next target. Basically, Brainiac is assaulting Metropolis in 2 dimensions at once. Enemies in another dimension can't be harmed, but it will still disrupt your ability to destroy the watchtower. So it's kind of like jumping back in between 2 worlds during the mission type of thing. It sounds cool, but it's like it's still not really enough. Like, we still need like new weapons is cool. The new effects do sound decent, but God forbid I mention this game. It feels like we're in the same situation as Avengers, where we're getting this new gear, we're getting all this stuff to use, but is there any real reason to come back and want to use this stuff or grind for it or like just play it outside of maybe just trying out one new mission and then it's back to the same old hammer and nail situation that we were in before? I hope I'm in the same position as J. Kuhn. I hope that the game definitely does make a major turnaround. It's gonna need something extravagant to get a lot of his players back because things is just looking rough. Like, don't get me wrong. I do still like the game for what it is, but I just can't. If it feels like a chore to play the game, then that's when it becomes a problem, and that's definitely what Suicide Squad feels like as of right now.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Oh, if Out of Orbit is anything at all like Gambit, which it kind of sounds like, and there were rumors of a gameplay type or mode that was going to be like Gambit a while back, I'm hoping that that'll be really cool. I also really want to know what the Daily Chuckle is. Is it an actual story mission? Is it a cool explorable version, like a really weird jokered out version of the Daily Planet? I'm hoping to see. And right now, too, like I mentioned, King, this lets us know exactly what we're looking for the entirety of the season, via story-wise, content, and things, so we can set our expectations at the correct level for season 2.
All right, so 2 things. One, I'm not going to say it in full detail because I don't want anybody to get in trouble. I don't want J. Kuhn to catch a DMCA or anything like that.
Of course.
This is
I'm
not
bulletproof at this point.
This is not the Gambit PvPvE mode. This is not that. This is far from it. This is simply just a new mission that we're getting. In the Daily Chuckle, we've already seen that before. When you're doing the Elseworld missions, you can see the building in the background, plus in the promotional material we've seen. It's just a Jokerized version of the Daily Planet. I mean, like, it's been teased that there's gonna be some mission involving that building. We might even get to go outside because you can go inside the interior in the normal game. So,
well, that could be cool. I'm hoping.
Those 2 things you pretty much already know. But it's definitely not that Gambit mode that we know of.
I'm just going to put this out here. I'm not going to deviate away from the itinerary, but a game came out 19, almost 20 years ago that had everything you want in all these games and executed it on it perfectly. And if they just re-released it, it would solve all the problems. Okay. Marvel Rise of the Imperfects. You had your story.
I haven't actually played that one.
I had that on PSP,
man,
and I didn't realize until I got older that the PSP and the console versions had completely different stories.
So, fun fact about Rise of the Imperfects: I actually played the absolute shit out of that when it came out.
I still have mine somewhere around here. Old PS2 version.
I'm mad that they kind of hoed us because like the PSP version had Captain America and Doctor Doom, and the console versions didn't get them. And I was like, that's bullshit. But yeah, like I really kind of feel bad. Like I want to keep people in the loop about Suicide Squad because at the end of the day, I want to see this game succeed. It ain't looking very good right now. But when you have situations like me, for example, like what are you going to bring to the table, Suicide Squad, that's going to make me go, you know what? I'm not even going to bother with Destiny 2, the final shape. And
I don't think they're going to be able to do anything that would make you say that.
You can only stretch a topic so far.
Exactly. From a casual I don't want to keep feeling like we're beating the dead horse, but at least we had something new to talk about this time.
I don't know, from a completely casual perspective, because I never actually bought it, I was interested by the concept, and I was on board until I saw the gameplay. And I don't know, something about it and I've watched people play it, and just
yeah. Like, because I think I make it a point. I don't like call out people that are lurking. I think I saw your name in my chat a couple times while I was playing it, and I assumed you were just kind of checking it out and all that type of stuff. Like the gameplay itself is fine, but if good gameplay is all you got, like you gave me the steak. Where's my plate? Where's my potatoes? Where's my broccoli? Where's my drink? Where's my silverware? Where's my fucking napkin? Like you need to give me a full meal here, not just the steak. And that's what I really feel like Suicide Squad is kind of doing. Like, yeah, the gameplay is great, but everything else on it sucks. And people can say what they want about Destiny, but Destiny has had 7 to 10 years to give us a complete package. And they have done exactly that.
Yeah.
But that is enough showing our double Ds for the night. So let's move on to the next subject. And that is Marvel Rivals and the test alpha drama that came with it. So I had a front row seat to this. Fortunately, I was not a casualty of this. But there was a creator program. I did not get into it. Greek also tried to get into it. He did not get in either. But that turned out to be a blessing in disguise. Because apparently, Marvel Rivals, as part of the contract of being in the content creator program, had a non-disparagement clause in it. That you were not allowed to say anything bad about this game whatsoever. You weren't even allowed to compare it to other games. Which, believe me when I tell you, having played it myself, was a very difficult thing to do. And I had just come home from a movie, went to go see Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. Fantastic movie, by the way. Go check it out. Tuned in to our friends' podcast. Shout outs to Jay Shockblast and Sadat the Gamer over at the After Show podcast. Go subscribe to them if you haven't. And watch them get their content creator license revoked in real time.
Yeah, that was wild.
It's crazy.
Yeah. So, like, that happened. Jay had signed the contract. Sadat had not signed the contract, and he got banned first. Jay got banned while checking to see if Sadat got banned. Miller, we love Miller. God bless Miller. Apparently, just guilt by association just happened. And then it just turned out to be a gigantic bug because everybody just kind of rose as one and just went, what the fuck, Marvel? And then NetEase, the people that made the game, are just kind of like, oh, my bad, we're sorry. You don't have to worry about that part anymore. And we're just like, well, most of us didn't sign the contract, so we're just going to talk shit about it anyway. So
I'm guessing that's something that until now, NetEase probably had on all their games, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, for the life of it, like, what other games have they done?
A lot of mobile ones, right?
They had Marvel Duel and Super War, which is just League of Legends, but Marvel, and they also have Naraka Blade Point under their banner as well.
I do like Naraka Blade Point. Shout out to Maximilian, the only skin I ever bought in that game. But I mean, like, where do you get off? Where do you honestly get off? Like, how are we supposed to help you improve the game if we're not allowed to critique it?
Yeah, I don't know what they were thinking with that.
And then you're also asking me not to be honest? That's crazy to me.
Yeah. Reg, you were about to say something? Sorry.
No, I was just agreeing with the point. Like, if you can't give your honest thoughts about a game, and yes, everyone with a grain of salt, it's still in its infancy. It's not like it's a finished product, but if you can't give honest critique about it, then what's the point? You're just playing it to play it that. And how's everyone going to trust your opinion if you're withholding your honest opinion for fear of getting your creator or content creator thing taken away or whatever?
Yeah. Because, like, I would like to say that I'm pretty fair about my criticism. Like, I enjoyed the game, but I can't help but notice some glaring things about it of, like, I understand it's a hero shooter, but do you have any idea how much of a carbon copy of Overwatch you actually made? Like, I'm pretty sure you're aware, and that's why you didn't want us to say anything. But just bear pawing everyone that just even utters the word Overwatch when you clearly made Marvel Overwatch is just like, that seems incredibly heavy-handed, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Greek, how about you? Because you and I have played it pretty extensively, and I think you even participated in Content Clash, didn't you?
When you say which one do you mean?
The little tournament that they set up for
yeah, the Dawn of Legends. Yeah, we went 0-6, which sucked, but
were they close at least? All right, never mind. I won't.
There are words. There are words I want to say, but all I know is there are some teams in this tournament who definitely classify as ringers. That's all I'm gonna say. Now, this is Marvel Overwatch, not down to a T. There are, again, like, like subtle enough differences to make rivals stand out as its own. But it's like, regardless of what's been happening, just like purely gameplay wise, and it's nice to see like other people like Comic Storian have also had like the same sentiment, because even he tried his hardest to bash the game. The game is genuinely fun. Granted, it still comes with the added notion of, you play team-based shooters, you're bound to get dumb shit teammates. The game is bound to, give you an aneurysm 7 times in one night. But the game is still genuinely fun. I mean, I love
the fact that in one night, you, me, and Lejeune just developed a brand new, undefeated hatred for anybody that decided to pick Spider-Man.
Here's the thing. That hatred was already brewing before you got there. It just only got worse as the alpha went on, because once people started learning the game more and more, learning the game and learning Spider-Man are two very different things. Two very different fucking things. It's just
I heard emotions out of Lejeune that night that I didn't think were possible just because somebody selected Spider-Man.
No, Jakun, you weren't there. You were not there a few nights ago. It was keep in mind, no one from our community, I think, has like really heard me lose my shit outside of like maybe one time. There was one Punisher player that made me go off the reservoir.
Reservation, you mean?
No, I mean reservoir.
Okay.
That's how bad it was. I'm not saying the correct word.
So this Punisher just straight up broke your brain, huh?
This Punisher forgot he had a shotgun.
Well then.
Okay.
So he completely forgot about, like, hands down Punisher's best tool.
I wanted to cry. It was not a fun night.
I will say, though, get off my man's Pete, because he's suffered a lot. He deserves the success he's getting.
That not in Rivals, he don't. God damn it, 1 out of 10.
Punisher arguably is like one of the best characters in Marvel Rivals right now. That's like, I'm not super, like, I'm no stranger to hero shooters, but I'm not super savvy in them. So I was like, okay, let's go with something easy and effective. Like, play to your strength. You play Halo, you play Destiny, pick a shooter. I was like, hey, let's check out Punisher. first match like 35 kill streak, and it's like, you know who we're using.
My whole thing is with Rivals is because like the difference between this and Overwatch, Marvel has a hell of a lot more to pull from than Overwatch does, because that Overwatch's lore, the story, all of that stuff had to be built up over time. And with the Rivals, it's kind of a mixture of both, because like you have the established lore that's already there, but then you have the new stuff that's added in for for Rivals, which you which you can hear as the characters begin to speak in this, that, and the third. Like, for example, pretty much any character in the game that has something robotic, there's at least one line of dialogue where Rocket is trying to steal an arm from anybody that has a robotic part. There's a lot that they can pull from with some tweaks here and there, some balance adjustments, fucking nerf Hela and Star-Lord, make some fixes here and there. Marvel Rivals could actually be it could be a very good substitute to Overwatch. And a lot of Overwatch players are ragging on it, but it's like, at the same time, it's not bad. This is actually good for Overwatch, because if you think about it, we all remember the fiasco last year when they decided to just completely I think it was earlier this year when they decided to completely cancel the whole PvE portion of the game.
Yeah,
that was the main thing I was looking forward to.
And if you remember, the whole reason for Overwatch 2 was PvE. They wanted to expand more on the lore of the game, which is what made people very excited for it. So just having that completely scrapped away and people having wasted their time here, Overwatch is in a good but weirdly bad state right now. And Marvel Rivals is, again, a helpful endeavor, because if this game does good, that's gonna force Blizzard to get their shit together.
Yeah.
Because if there's one thing people like more than Blizzard and Overwatch, it's Marvel. It's superheroes. People love these characters. Spider-Man alone can sell 10 times more than any character you can think of from Overwatch, porn included.
And what do they say? The rising tide lifts all boats.
Yeah, that's a good way of looking at it.
Yeah, Rags said it best.
Yeah, I would definitely go along with that. And I agree, the game is really good. It definitely has potential. The fact that it's going to be completely free to play, it's always going to be a plus. So it's like you can literally download it with no regrets whatsoever.
Microtransactions. That's been a serious problem with all of the past superhero games that we didn't have in the last couple of years, and I have not heard one person bring up, but this game was gonna have microtransactions. Granted, it's free, but NetEase definitely does charge a pretty penny for some microtransactions. I don't know if it's people just don't realize that yet, or they just haven't come across it. But I feel like once we start seeing the stuff in the shop, I think that's when the conversation will be brought back up. But it won't be as worse as the conversations we've had before about microtransactions in these games.
Yeah, like I feel like at this point, like microtransactions, like, are any of us really surprised anymore?
I feel like if the game is free to play, you should expect it. You shouldn't be surprised by it, because they have to fund it somehow. And if you're not
exactly
paying for it, then
the game needs to be able to make money. And if you're giving the core game away, then there needs to be another way to make money. And cosmetics are pretty much a license to print cash most of the time.
The key is just not to drop anything, like to try to get the whalers on your side. Like, don't drop something stupidly broke at a high price point, knowing that it's going to disrupt the meta of the game, because someone's going to buy it.
Yeah, and like I have enough faith in most game companies, I won't say all, but most, that they wouldn't do something that stupid. Like, keep it as cosmetics. Yeah, I mean, hell, kind of do what Overwatch does right now. You have a battle pass for the season. Halfway through the pass, you get the brand new character. Or if you don't want to wait, you can fast track, pay like $15-20, get the character right away. I mean, hell, Suicide Squad did that.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't see an issue with that whatsoever. And like, yeah, I could see me playing this in my spare time if I had nothing else going on, like not training for a tournament or getting ready for a race to World's First in Destiny or something like that. Yeah, I could see myself playing Marvel Rivals some more.
Plus, it's Marvel, so how many decades of comic book costumes are there for you to pull from and then put into the game?
Movies,
how much
too.
money?
Yeah.
How much money did people spend on Street Fighter 4 for like how many combat or costume packs that game had? And look at all the Marvel you can pull from.
I'm actually, Street Fighter. I barely played Street Fighter 4, and I think I still had all the costume packs for Street Fighter 4. So, like, it'll sell. Absolutely.
Not to mention the original creations like that we saw in the game, like Spider-Punk 2099. That's smart. That's original to Marvel Rivals. And then Mantis's vibranium armor. That's original. So and the designs are good. So there's two different avenues like to definitely dig in there when it comes to the microtransactions. And the funny thing is, Overwatch doesn't follow that model anymore, because like it was the two ways you said, or if you didn't get the character at all, you could just get the character the next season for free by completing a bunch of challenges in the practice area and then winning 50 games with that character's class. But with the release of the new season and Venture, no, all of the heroes are free again. So they're just going back to cosmetics and battle pass and loot boxes and whatnot.
Okay, so they're following the same suit that everybody else does then.
So how egregious do you think they're going to be with cosmetics? Because like I said, I love Diablo 4, and that's not a free-to-play game. But like there's skins that are like $28. I don't buy those because I find that expensive. But how much do you think they might be?
Black Suit Spidey would be $50,000.
No, the Spider-Verse costume with all the animated effects with $50,000.
Really? It's like something that crazy? Really?
No, I don't know. I'd probably say somewhere in the, depending how $10 be my guess.
I would hope so.
It's always been my belief, and the game that I've seen do it the most, that like I'm pretty sure that somebody in marketing has heard this slogan before and they just took the ball and ran with it. That if you price something at $20 and under, people 9 times out of 10 are just gonna drop the money for it, not think twice about it. And we saw Avengers do that. Fortnite is the king of doing that. They just released Loki and Sylvie. Yeah, Loki and Sylvie. Both of them together is close to about $40, but the pack, the individual packs are about $18 a piece. And I went and looked at the download numbers for that, and they blew everything out of the water in the Fortnite store that night.
Wow. X-Men'97 is on the way too.
That one, unfortunately, is not true.
It is.
Yeah. So the updated shop icons for X-Men were just for the X-Men that are already in the game, which is Rogue and Gambit, which are currently in the shop right now.
Pour one out.
Yeah. But
so you wouldn't buy a Nightcrawler skin?
I mean, I'd buy a Nightcrawler skin.
I'd get the Lego ones, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and that's the beautiful thing. Like, you definitely kind of get your money's worth in the Fortnite market now, because if you buy a character for Battle Royale, you can pretty much use it in every facet of the game. And Fortnite has now just become the kings of, like, you don't want to do Battle Royale? Here's 10 billion other game modes you can play, including Lego Fortnite or racing, or they even put Rock Band in the game now. So
but due to everything being PG, some of those modes, the skins aren't allowed in anymore, like Venom and Carnage, for example.
I liken Fortnite to be like the Mugen of shooters, where they can literally just throw anything in there and it'll just somehow work.
Yeah, and like the crazy thing about it, like I don't know how deep you've ever gotten into it, Rag, because you know me, I'm a lore guy. Like I love lore stuff. The story to Fortnite is actually insane. That like all these different skins and shit that you see on the island is basically the center of all creation. So anyone who's been to the island before and leaves behind basically a copy of themselves called Snapshot. That's why none of them can talk. That's why none of them have any memory of what they are. That's why like Batman uses guns, Superman can't fly. It's all because, well, they've been to that island before and left, and that's just their snapshot that Left Behind.
That's
So
cool.
that's how they excuse everything. And I was like, yeah, that's.
Yeah.
But the fact that PG, like the Fortnite thing, just hugs to the PG thing so much. Meanwhile, you have the Terminator, the Predator, the Punisher, RoboCop, the Alien, Michael Myers, the Demogorgon from Stranger Things. You all have them running around the game, but this is a PG game.
I wanted to add one thing because like the lore. There are a lot of people that really don't like Fortnite because they think it's too kiddie, this, that, and the third. If you play it, Fortnite is actually a fun and decent game. And if you enjoy storytelling, like Jay Quinn said, from beginning to where it currently is now, like with the recent season, Midas, a character that was missing since like year 2, chapter 2, has apparently been locked up in the underworld with Hades this entire time, and he
escaped.
And escaped, and he's just now made his way back. And the thing is, when you look at the collabs, like Jay mentioned, with the snapshots of characters like Doomguy and Superman and Darth Vader with Spidey, all of this stuff is canon to their respective universes as well. I don't know any other company like Epic that has managed to do that, where you can have this many different IPs meshing together and your core story is canonized to all of them. Like for example, Spider-Man traveling to the island, or Batman, Catwoman, and Deathstroke getting stuck there for
one of my favorite bits of the Fortnite story was that comic miniseries they did with Batman. Where apparently he just went through the loop of the island so many times that the Imagined Order or the IO were kind of like testing him to see what he could kind of figure out, because he kept leaving notes for himself every single rotation of the loop.
And he brought in Catwoman on it.
Yes. And then in order to try and keep him from getting out, the Imagined Order brought in Snake Eyes from G.I. Joe. And just because they're a clean slate memory-wise, every time the loop starts over, they kept running into each other, and they would be the last two standing, and they would fight until the storm just overtook the whole island, and they would just die, and the loop would reset. And the narration for the guy that was kind of telling the story in the comic was like, I should have sold tickets to this because this was amazing.
Like, if anybody watches Invincible, I believe it was the second to last episode of the season where he had fought Angstrom Levy. He goes to Fortnite. Yeah, and he comes back with a Fortnite rifle and smacks the hell out of Angstrom Levy with it. And then Epic, being cheeky, decided to post a picture right after the episode aired of Mark running around in game with that same rifle. So that's also canon.
Yeah, which is also hilarious because, again, game for kids, yet Invincible, half the cast is in the game.
Hey, Invincible is for the children.
Oh, yeah.
Like Wu-Tang.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah,
I found out where the Wu-Tang is for the children actually really apparently came from. Their outreach programs to kids and everything like that. That's, I guess, the legit reason for it, supposedly.
Mm-hmm. Well, the legit reason for it is because they wanted to keep the rating low. That way, like, literally anybody in any age bracket could play it, which is why, like, no one dies. They get knocked out. There's no blood, guts, and gore. They just depixelate and leave, and that's perfectly fine. If that's the platform you want to stand on, I'm okay with it. But don't sit there and say that like this is exclusively for kids when you are bringing in people like RoboCop.
Well, since you went deep into the lore, I will take the 20 seconds of old man yelling at clouds here. While I respect Fortnite for putting Demogorgon in from Stranger Things, that is not Demogorgon. I don't know what kind of Resident Evil ass monster that is. But Stranger Things takes heavily influence from Dungeons and Dragons. I get they probably didn't want to cut Wizards of the Coast a check for the actual likeness of Demogorgon.
That's probably what it was.
That is not. No, that's Parasite Eve meets Resident Evil monster, not the actual.
Which is funny you mentioned that because Resident Evil's in the goddamn game too.
Yeah.
Also, another funny thing that's entirely believable with the whole imposter mode that they added thing that they tossed in the game right after Among Us blew up, and everyone was upset with them because they could have just collabed with Among Us to make a mode for the game, and they didn't. And I
Yeah.
believe even the creators of that said, like, came out and said, Epic could have just reached out, and we would have loved to put something together, but nope, they just made a carbon copy mode and went about their day. So like, there's a couple of skeletons in.
I mean, we're talking about a multi-billion-dollar company that literally had a years-long war with Apple and lost, and just went so like they don't care.
So really super quick questions. They haven't had any of the actual DC Lego characters yet, have they? I think it's just been Marvel.
No, some of the DC characters I think are also Legoized at this point. Like they've been slowly bringing out stacks of them.
Okay, I thought there was an issue maybe where they didn't get the rights or something because of Traveler's Tales and WB and all that type of weirdness. And then my other question was Vecna. Have they done Vecna yet?
No, but honestly, I wish that was a character they had done, because
that'd be a cool
as far as Stranger Things go, they have done Hopper. They've done the Demogorgon, and they've done shit, I forgot her name.
11?
Yeah, 11. I think it was a missed opportunity when they released 11 that they didn't do Vecna with them. Like, I think that would have been really cool.
Well, Dead by Daylight beat them to the punch because their new D&D themed season, Vecna's going to be
voiced by Matt Mercer, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, the new villain. Plus, they're introducing a new mode, 8v2.
Dracula from Castlevania, right?
Yeah.
No, 8 survivors, 2 killers.
Yeah, so imagine having Legion and Ghostface in one match. If you played Dead by Daylight, then you understand just how toxic and horrible that matchup sounds.
I know friends that dabbled in it, but like I never really played it all that much. That game genre I stuck more to, and that was just mainly because me and my friends in my community were playing it. We stuck to Friday the 13th, or we did like Predator Hunting Grounds.
Yeah.
Anyone picking up Killer Clowns? Figured I'd ask real quick.
I'm not, because I was just never interested in it. But swinging back over to the main subject, since we were talking about Marvel Rivals for a moment, let's kind of ask around the panel here. Like, I'm going to pick it up and download it and play it from time to time. Porter, I'm assuming you're going to play it when it fully drops?
Definitely. I am also hoping that they have not completely taken PvE off the table. I know it's not going to be there at launch. They've said that, but they would make so many people happy if they had actual like PvE mode that came to the game, and also some more specific like Marvel-esque game modes, whatever that means, just something to differentiate it from Overwatch. Otherwise, I'm very much looking forward to it, but I probably will not get the gray outfit for Magneto. I just need that red usually.
Give me a maximum carnage mode and we'll talk.
Nice.
Greek, I'm pretty sure I already know your answer, but let us have it.
Well, I'm gonna try to, not lose my damn sanity playing that game. I'm definitely gonna put a lot of time into playing, and I'm not gonna be like making content on it just because I don't really know how to do that for those type of games. Like, I might really stream it more than anything. And when it comes to the whole PV, oh crap, I pulled my headphones out and I can't hear anything. But I will say, like, regardless of the whole PvE thing that Hoarders mentioned, it does sound great. I, however, I honestly hope they stay far away from it. Specifically just because we've seen in the past just how iffy things can get when you have to juggle between PvE and PvP. And the biggest thing that Rivals has going for it right now, it knows exactly what it wants to be, which is a 6v6 hero shooter. It needs to continue being that, because we already have a very horrible track record of games that try to split between multiple things and they end up subpar or horrible or a shell of its former self. We do not need that again.
Yeah, there's only one success story, and that's Destiny 2.
But all we need is just a simple PvP, a PvP game. Not to mention, this is the first PvP Marvel game we've had since MVC Infinite.
We don't talk about that game.
The first one we've had since Marvel vs. Capcom 3.
That's better.
Just let it be PvP. Make the tweaks. Make sure the gameplay is engaging. Stick to what you know. And we will be fine. But I am looking for it. I hope that the game does well. And I hope that content creator program gets fixed because that shit was fucked.
Yeah. As far as your rage go, dude, like don't let rage bug you. Despite what the other people will say about me. Like, it's okay if you get mad. Just don't get up. Just don't, like, I'm getting to the point that I pound my keyboard casually just because I like watching the keys explode off of it. But yeah, just don't go that far.
Yeah.
Uncle Rags, how about you? You think you'll give Marvel Rivals a try?
It's a very good possibility. I'm a characters guy, so if I see a character that I like Magic, for instance, I'm more interested in giving it a shot. I played Overwatch a bit a couple of years ago. I enjoyed it for what it was. So depending on what the final roster looks like and what the game modes look like, I would say it's a very real possibility that I at least play it casually.
That's what's up. All right. Time to move on to the next subject. Before we do, I do believe Mr. Hoarder has a mini flex he would like to do. So
yes,
take
actually.
us to the gun show, Hoarder.
You got it. So I host Hoarder's Comic Flex, and that's on Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Central on youtube.com/HoarderGamer. And basically, this book right here has been pretty awesome. Transformers from Image Comics and also Skybound. They have this really wild way that they're telling the story. So it's not like there's a Transformers and G.I. Joe comic. What they did was Transformers, something called Void Rivals, which introduced Jetfire, and the first volume is called More Than Meets the Eye, and then miniseries. There's Duke and Cobra Commander out currently. They're going to do Scarlet, they're going to do Baroness and Destro, and that's how they bring in G.I. Joe. So this is actually one of the best tellings of the whole Transformer story. So like the whole thing about them being on Earth and, the Ark crash landing, their ship, the Ark from Cybertron. One of the coolest things they do here is Sparky, Mr. Witwicky, his whole issue, all of his issues having to do, I believe, with the Gulf War. I don't know exactly which war they were referencing.
Yeah, it was the 90s, so it
was the Gulf War. Okay,
yeah.
So they juxtapose that excellently with the memories and the nightmares that basically Optimus Prime had with the war on Cybertron. So they keep juxtaposing those things as a motif, and it works out really well. And you get basically the leader of the Decepticons here is Starscream, because Megatron is thought to be dead. No one exactly knows where the body is. It's pretty wild. There's a great fan moment where Starscream fights Optimus Prime, beats the hell out of him, and shreds his arm. So what happens is later on in that issue, they find Megatron's arm and cannon, and it's put onto Optimus. It's a crazy, badass moment. It's very cool. Starscream is awful. So the first thing he starts doing is killing human beings. As soon as he sees them, he basically wants to kill them. What's really interesting is, though, I believe it's Thundercracker is not instantly looking to murder everything on Earth. Not all the Decepticons are as vicious and evil as Starscream, which is a very interesting thing to find out. And then Starscream starts cannibalizing Decepticons, and you're like, what's he doing? What's he doing? He's removing their sparks and their power sources so he can bring back Devastator. So there's these insane things in this book. And I think if you're a fan of Transformers, I highly recommend it. There are amazing scenes with the Matrix of Leadership that I can't even say what happens because they are so awesome. But yeah, I highly recommend Transformers. The first trade's available for $16.99. Get it at your local comic shop. Even Amazon will probably have a sale of a few dollars on it. But It's really good. And after this, they're gonna fully bring in like GI Joe, and I love it.
Yeah, I've gotten through the first 3 issues at your request of like, hey, you should really check this out. So I read a few of them while I was at work, and I gotta say, I've always been a very hardcore devotee to the old Dreamwave Productions comic book run,
Sure.
like The War Within and all that stuff. So like a lot of the Transformers stuff, especially the art style and everything, never really hooked me. And I'll be first to admit the art style for this one doesn't hook me all that much, but the writing hooked me.
Yes.
Like, okay, yeah, this is really, really good.
Yeah, the writer Daniel Warren Johnson is an excellent writer. He did Do a Power Bomb, which is a really powerful or popular comic book, and then also Wonder Woman: Dead Earth. And then Robert Kirkman, you might know him from little things like Invincible and The Walking Dead.
Yeah,
He's also like one of the people behind this whole project of like the GI Joe Transformers universe called the Energon universe.
nice.
I've recently gotten back into comic books. I did not realize the prices had gone up as much as they had lately.
Oh yeah,
I know. Starting at 4, basically.
I have a comic book store that's like a mile and a half walking from me, and I went to go visit them, and I got a couple of things, but I was ringing out, and he's like, "Oh, this one was $60, $70 here." I'm like, "God damn, really?" Remember these things? I got a lot, for what the money's worth, but it's. Yeah.
So what they do now is it's $4 for the base comic, $5 or $6 if you want to have a nice, real thick paper cover, like variant artwork, and if you want a foil cover, $7 or $8. Those are new issues though, not like trades or anything like that.
That's getting rough.
Yeah.
Remember when comics used to be just $2?
Yeah. So let's see. So I went in there. I was one of those things where I'm like, I haven't read a comic book in like a long time. So let me just find something I'm interested in, and I'll just pick at random. So the 2 Pathfinder comic books, these are pretty thick. These were like $30 altogether. Oh, there's 3 of them. Never mind. That explains it. Yeah. I got this big ass anthology of Spider-Gwen, Ghost Spider. This was
cool.
A lot. Let's see, the 2 Scarlet Witch comic books. She's one of my favorite characters, as you can
is that the Steve Orlando run?
I can't tell. Orlando Pacelli.
Okay, because his run has been really good.
Yeah, so these 2. And then for Free Comic Book Day, I picked up this one that was pretty interesting called Blood Hunt. Actually, pretty interesting story. I'm looking. I don't know if the second issue's come out yet, but
Tuesday or Wednesday, I believe Wednesday.
Okay, because I'll definitely have to go back because I was very captivated by the story. I'm like, I like a Midnight Suns kind of thing. So
there's also red label versions. They come in like plastic bags, and it's like an R-rated version. More blood, more gore. Nice. So I think that's pretty wild.
Legit.
Yeah, they sent me like this right here, this foil cover for Brainiac story arc for Superman, $8. That's what they charge for a foil cover. They're gorgeous looking, but they're expensive.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, this is why I do everything digital now. Like, I ain't got the wallet for that.
I thought about it, but I love the tactile sensation.
Yeah, and Stan Lee said it best. Comics are a lot like boobs. Looking at them are nice, but holding them is something else entirely. Yeah. And I agree with that sentiment, but like I would much rather, just throw $15-20 at Get Comics Online and just continue funding them. They go buy them, scan them, and then I go get to download them and read them at my leisure. I'll just do it that way. A lot more economical.
I like that, and I agree with you. And like if it was manga, online all day because I don't got the time or the space to have a manga collection here. And the store seems to do pretty well, but I want to make sure that everyone needs to have like that local comic book store they can go into, and
Yeah, we unfortunately don't have that around here no more. I think the last one we had was either Time Capsule or Metropolis Comics, and well, I knew the guy that ran Metropolis, and like he's like a vice president for Capital One now. So it's like, yeah, he kind of gave up that dream.
Plus, they hooked me because on this year's Free Comic Book Day and last year's, I had a group of people dressed up as the Ghostbusters there on the table again. I'm like, okay, what if we're gonna throw Ghostbusters at me? Just
Yeah, let me go have a look, spend $1 or $2. Why not?
Yeah.
But all right, moving on to the next subject of the evening. This ought to be not a shocker to anybody, but they released another trailer for Assassin's Creed. That's not the shocker part. They literally release one every single year. But this new one, Assassin's Creed Shadows, featuring a female ninja or kunoichi and the legendary Nobunaga retainer / samurai Yasuke, the first black samurai. And wouldn't you know it, the internet's fucking racist again. Yeah, shocker. Absolute shocker. My big question for this entire panel here is, number one, is anyone surprised anymore? Number two, why do you think people are getting so up in arms about a game like Assassin's Creed, of all things, that is very much not rooted in reality?
I will answer that second point first. I put this on Twitter. I firmly believe maybe 5% do, but 95% of the people who are outraged don't actually care.
Yes, I exactly agree with you.
They're just spewing it out because it's easy. They have the rent's coming up. They got to get their engagement check, and no one actually cares if Yasuke is one of the protagonists of this game. It's just an easy hill to dunk on to get your engagement clicks.
See, I didn't realize that people were actually making money from farming engagement on Twitter. I'm actually shocked at hearing that.
Yeah, that's been around for like a year now since Elon did his thing.
Anytime you see those blue check marks and they're saying something that you think is like the most stupid thing you've ever read, it's because they know people will engage with it and they get a check with it. I don't think anyone actually, maybe some people do, but no one actually cares that Yasuke.
Some of those people are almost dangerous and bad, I will say. But yeah, for the most part, it's about clicks.
Yeah, like saying Anakin did nothing wrong, which is a point that I still stand by to this day. I do agree.
Anakin is the reason the whole prequel trilogy sucks.
Yeah, honestly, though, the Clone Wars wasn't that bad. And
the Clone Wars was great.
You're really going to defend Mannequin Skywalker in Episode 2?
No, not him. I mean, like, just the overall movie. It gave us Jango Fett. And Jango Fett gave us a PS2 game for Bounty Hunters.
You can sum up the entire prequel trilogy in 2 phrases. Anakin and God damn it.
But without Attack of the Clones, we would not have gotten the Star Wars Bounty Hunter game. And I will not let that game fall into the abyss. I'm sorry.
I'm right there with you. But seriously, Episode 1, Anakin? God damn it. Episode 2, Anakin.
Now, hold on. Episode 1 was Qui-Gon Jinn's
damn it.
Episode 1 was Qui-Gon Jinn's fault. If he hadn't pushed for Anakin to be trained, none of that shit would have happened. Blame Liam Neeson. The model that will get you far in life. Just blame Liam.
You can't make fun of him.
But at the same time, even though he did push him, if he lived instead of Obi-Wan, Anakin probably would have had a different outcome, because we know that Qui-Gon was more willing to stray from the rules and wasn't as book tied as Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
Like any Star Wars theory video will show you that one.
Or any of the books that they, had.
Yeah, had. Thanks, Disney.
But my whole thing with Assassin's Creed, I look at it like this. Funny enough, I saw somebody post a picture of I think Samurai Warriors 5. Funny enough, Yasuke is a character in that game. No one said anything, and it's like don't get me wrong. I love Assassin's Creed. I however have not bought a single game from the series since Syndicate. Syndicate is where the series died for me.
I haven't played Creed.
I love that one.
And like,
I know too.
I haven't. Yeah, the train. I haven't played since. Like, I've heard good things about Valhalla, but I haven't played since Syndicate. Assassin's Creed 3 helped me pass the history final, and my teacher thought I cheated. My teacher legitimately thought I cheated. I told her I played video games, and I almost got tossed for it. But my thing, like, this is a series. This is a video game series where we've had characters in history doing wild things that we probably wouldn't have come up with. Like this is the same series where you could see Benjamin Franklin of all people pop somebody in the nose with a musket. And from what we know, that man was not about violence.
Well, wasn't there a whole DLC in Assassin's Creed 3 called The Tyranny of King Washington?
Yeah, like basically a what if story where what happens if after becoming president, George Washington got drunk with power and now you have to go kill him. Now that Yasuke's one of the protagonists, now all of a sudden, you know, this is an issue. Like we haven't had past games where we've had protagonists of people of different races interact with the main character or main characters. Like if there's one thing that's for sure, two things. One, Ubisoft is backfiring a little bit, but not too much because this was a smart move on their end. This game is going to be talked about all the way until release and even further after then because of this. All of this free publicity is about to go nuts. Secondly, the game was already getting back to true form because the game was Assassin's Creed. It's about being sneaky. It's about being stuffy. It's about not being seen. Everybody is already forgetting about the fact there's a whole fucking second protagonist.
Yeah.
Yeah, that girl got completely pushed to the side. Like, was that Simpsons meme where they pushed the goat out of the way?
He's the samurai, she's the assassin, and people just completely forgot about her. So already, storytelling wise, they're doing great. Like she's not even in the conversation, which is funny enough. And the crazy thing is, you have actual Japanese people that are speaking up and defending Ubisoft for this decision. And the people that are bashing Ubisoft are the people that are not of Japanese descent.
Yeah, I feel like anyone who is hinging their argument on historical accuracy, the moment those words leave their lips, they're disqualified from the conversation entirely. Yeah. I don't recall in a single history book, you know, oh, this guy found a golden apple of Eden and let him mind control people by the masses. And Ezio Auditore teamed up with like all
Leonardo
these
da Vinci.
Yeah, Leonardo da Vinci
had a
flying machine.
His brother, who was also the Pope for the fate of the world, you know.
Yeah. Or Sam Adams didn't seem you on a quest to kill a bunch of people before the Boston Tea Party kicked off.
Or Odin coming down to Earth himself and just murking a bunch of people, like apparently he does in Valhalla.
If putting a person of color or a woman as the primary protagonist makes the game bad and woke, then I'm sorry, but one of the best games ever, Tenchu Stealth Assassins, was woke back in 1998 because one of the two characters was a woman.
Yeah.
Fuck out of here.
It's just absolutely insane how like hypersensitive people get nowadays. Like we never heard anything about wasn't the main protagonist of Neo white?
Oh, I think Neo 2 has Yasuke in it as well.
Yeah, actually. He's in Neo 2.
I think he's in there as an antagonist. And funny enough, there was a DLC for Black Flag that came out, and Black Flag, first off, is one of the most beloved games of the franchise. The DLC Freedom Cry took the I forget his name, but basically when you were running your ship, the black man that was like your second in command, he had became an assassin, and Freedom Cry was, you know, his story going around freeing slaves, this, that, and the third. I didn't hear any outlash or backlash about that. So we didn't hear any backlash about when he was a pirate, but we're hearing backlash about Yasuke. When, funny enough, you talk about historical accuracy, he was a retainer, this, that, and the third. But if you go back and actually look, a retainer was still classically, he was still clarified as a samurai to some extent. So in all manners of the word, he's still a samurai.
Yes. So
what are we really arguing here?
Nope. You know, if Tom Cruise could be the last samurai, then goddamn it.
I was literally about to bring that up.
If Matt Damon can be the white savior in a movie killing monsters on the Great Wall, then we can have a black samurai.
Nobody cared when Yasuke got his own anime a couple years ago. I mean, we cared because it sucked, but you know, there was no outrage. Well, what's this black samurai anime?
Afro Samurai. Didn't everybody love Afro Samurai?
Yeah, that was
Afro
very
Samurai.
popular.
Everybody adored it.
And everybody loves Samuel Jackson. That's two incredibly black things right there, mixing in with Japanese culture. But now everyone wants to hate on Yasuke. And
Yeah,
you can't
Sonny
really.
Marshall just nailed it too. Keanu Reeves. Well, he was a Ronin, but yeah,
Yeah.
Ronin's just a masterless samurai.
I mean, isn't Shogun? Isn't one of the main protagonists in Shogun a white man becoming a I don't know. I haven't watched the show.
No, he never becomes like a samurai or anything like that.
Okay.
He's basically shipwrecked over there, and well, you later find out that it was intentionally shipwrecked, but because of his knowledge of ship-to-ship battles, this I forget what he like. Is he a retainer? I don't remember fully, but he's a shogun lord, like has his own land, his own army, all this type of stuff. He basically gets recruited by this guy to teach his samurai how to fight out on the water. And the longer he stays there, the more he acclimates to the culture and begins to prefer that culture. Even falls in love and all that different type of stuff, but he never really holds any major office outside of like, you can have a home here, but that's about it.
Nobody cared when Killer B showed up in Naruto and whooped the shit out of Sasuke, paused the fight to write down a verse he had in his head, and then proceeded to resume beating his ass. They had a whole village full of black ninjas. No one said a thing. You know what they said? Oh man, that's cool as fuck. He's holding 8 swords. It makes no sense, but god damn it looks fun.
Yeah.
Nobody actually cares that Yasuke is the protagonist. Yeah,
it's just absolutely ridiculous at this point. Like, if you're gonna get this upset over one thing, then how about you look at the rest of them? And just racism at its finest.
Yeah, so amazing to me though is like on social media, I was amazed to see how many PhDs in Japanese history just coming out of a woodwork. It was like, wow, this is unbelievable. Everyone should know about this, man. But no, similar to what Uncle Rag said, I would say that there are a true 5% of people that want that historical authenticity. I would totally say that. There's 5% that really want that historical authenticity. But that other 95%, racist, I would say. I mean, there's not much else you could really say about that. And, like, here's the big issue. Like, the far right, they're also jumping on this. So it's not just people for clicks. The bad, truly bad people that like Elon has welcomed, like Nick Fuentes. I don't want to get political here. I apologize, but he just brought back Nick Fuentes like 2 weeks ago. That's not good. But like, it's really terrible to see all this racism everywhere. It's sick. It's stupid. And I'm really looking forward to the game. If anything, I may not buy it day one just because of Ubisoft and waiting for patches and such, but I will definitely get the game, and I'll probably break down and get it day one, to be honest with you. But I like to think that I could hold back.
See, this is where like I am very, very glad I grew up or spent my 20s and 30s in the FGC. For you casuals out there, in the FGC, I am the minority. The FGC is predominantly Asian, Hispanic, Black. There's some white people out there, but there ain't many. You learn very, very quickly, especially in the era of the FGC that I was in, where you said the wrong thing to the wrong guy, and you had the corn boys on your ass. And you learn pretty quickly to be tolerant of a lot of things and learn to shut your fucking mouth.
I liken it to the same group of people that were mad that when everyone thought that Finn was going to be a Jedi and killing stormtroopers. Like that same pocket of people would be the ones who are mad about Yasuke being the main character.
Wow.
I feel like it's distracting from the fact that it's a game under the Ubisoft banner, which means you get all the fun stuff that comes with a Ubisoft release. Like I know it's a deluxe edition, like the $130 price tag for one version of the game.
Yeah.
Or the installment payment plans you can make. Like, I'll be damned. If I'm going to make an installment plan to buy a video game, I will be damned.
Like I'm very, very fortunate that I am a Ubisoft partner. So chances are, like, I don't want to count my chickens before they hatch. Chances are I'll probably get the game for free. I'll probably get the base game, but I'll still more than likely get it for free. And I am pretty much looking forward to checking it out. I haven't played an Assassin's Creed since literally Assassin's Creed 2 because, yeah, like it's definitely been a hot minute because I'm sorry, man, Team Desmond. Like I wanted to see where that story was going to go, and then you pretty much just wiped him out of the story completely, and I was like, well, that's why I was here. So, but yeah. Porter, we know you're getting it. Greek, how about you?
I would like to see gameplay first.
Well, yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
If I could, because again, remember, like I have not bought any Assassin's Creed since Syndicate. I played, or I didn't pay for Origins, but I played like I didn't like the opening mission, and I hated it. If it looks like the older generation of AC games, I will more than I will more than likely buy it. Already, like because one of the main things that's like appealing to me is that, again, it's like with Syndicate and Jacob and Evie, there's two very distinct play styles. I forget her name, but the woman, she's obviously going to be the more sneakier of the type. Yase is going to be the I'm here to fuck shit up character. I enjoy that. So
that's what I'm here for.
That's definitely something I'm gonna be able to enjoy. I mean, hell, I would even love it if they somehow worked in what they did with Unity, which I feel like could have been a great precedent for the series going forward if they included more co-op in the Assassin's Creed games. Because I personally thought co-op. I mean, we had PvP in the last games, but I thought Unity and co-op was real cool. I get pissed whenever somebody would mess up a heist, but
we need more stuff in that game, like because Ghost of Tsushima just hit PC, and I've been revisiting the Legends mode. We need more stuff like that in games like this. So, like, I would totally be down for that.
Yeah, so it's like I'm holding out hope for this new AC game. I am a bit cautious, but I am definitely leaning a bit more towards it than I have any AC game in like the past decade.
Right on. And how about you, Uncle Rags?
I want to see some gameplay first. I haven't bought an Assassin's Creed since the third one. Haven't completed one since the Ezio trilogy, which to me was still the bar. I will, as long as it, I don't know, it makes me feel like I have to be an assassin, because the problem with like the older games, maybe they fixed it in 4 or 5, however many there's been since then, but it got kind of to the point where you could just counter kill. It was very simplistic with the combat. It didn't make you have to play the role of assassin. So if they get back to that, or maybe they have since then, I don't know. But if I see that in the gameplay, I'd be more inclined. Right now, I'm going to say hesitantly yes, but I want to see more before I commit.
Gotcha.
So for me, I'll just say quick, Assassin's Creed is basically my Call of Duty. So I get all of them. So I've played all of them. Now,
by all means.
What I can say is that Origins, Odyssey, Valhalla, that's more of an RPG style. And Valhalla went a little bit too much. It's like roughly 150 hours if you do everything in it. There's I think a nice amount of time that these games should take, and as far as I've heard, this is going to be more around like 50 to 100 hours at the most for this one. This is not small like Mirage it was. Mirage was kind of almost a remake of the first one. But yeah, I really much like the series, and I look forward to each one that comes out.
That's fair. Awesome. But all right, we are going to shift gears here for a moment over to the FGC. So I am going to move Ragnarok up here with me, and right, that is going to be. What's up?
Second chair.
Yeah. So Combo Breaker. Combo Breaker is literally this week one of the biggest tournaments in the country, but it is definitely under some fire at the moment. So, what have you heard so far, Rag?
I've heard that Akuma despite having just been released for Street Fighter 6, will be allowed to be used in tournament. And the cameo Movado for MK1, which came out, I think early access was last week before, was not originally supposed to be available for use, but has since been allowed to be used in tournament. So I've heard stuff on the Street Fighter side and the MK side. I also saw, I believe that SNK announced that Combo Breaker was going to be one of the stops of the King of Fighters World Tour, which went out the announcement came out yesterday or Friday, despite the fact registration for Combo Breaker closed a few days ago. So if you weren't already enlisted in the tournament, you're SOL if you were going to use that now.
Okay, yeah, that's news to me. Holy shit, way to yank the rug out from underneath people.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's fucked up. So with the Movado update and Mortal Kombat 1, it definitely came with some kinks in the armor. Input registry is worse than ever. A lot of situations where like people will go to hit buttons and just nothing happens, or it'll store the input for way too long and you go to do something and wind up getting something else completely. And then on top of that, most characters, brand new DLC, they're usually like not tournament legal for at least a couple weeks, if not a whole month. So like if it came out 2 weeks before a tournament, you were not using him in that tournament. You had to wait until the next one. So the constant like just knee-jerk change to this formula with the problems that is coming with this update, I do not expect a good time at Combo Breaker for Mortal Kombat 1 at all. Like, I'm fully expecting a shit show. Like, what do you think?
I think by and large it'll be okay, but it would not surprise me if there was some disruption in pools from just random, like we saw like a Shao Kahn. I don't know if they've hotfixed it already, but there was some issue with Shao Kahn and Movado where he would get stuck and he wouldn't be able to move, or just little things like that. I don't think there's going to be like a big uproar. I think it'll be like the little isolated incidents that happen through pools, maybe on stream, depending on what the matchups are.
Mm-hmm. I think one of the other ones that I saw was like certain characters weren't able to Combo Breaker correctly. I think Johnny Cage was one of them, which, I mean, we all hate Johnny, so hey, more power to us. But that still, like, the fact that it's leaving an uneven playing field. Now, granted, fighting games aren't really all that fair to begin with, but the core mechanics should always be uniform. And I definitely see that being a problem. Maybe it is just an isolated incident type of deal, but that's really, really wild to me. And with Akuma in Street Fighter, I haven't been keeping up with Street Fighter all that much, but like that is absolutely unheard of.
Yeah,
like that they would just like, yeah, let him rock. Really, that soon? You got to be kidding me.
I'm of two minds for it, and we saw it with MKX back with the MKXL update when it came out. I think it was released a week or so before final round, and then all the characters were allowed to be used in the final round tournament. So you had Triborg, Alien, I forget who all was in that pack, all suddenly in this tournament, and they're like a week old, if that.
Leatherface, Tanya.
Yeah, Leatherface. Well, Tanya, I think, was in the first one, but in essence, you had all these characters basically dropped on your doorstep for this tournament, and there's just no possible way to prepare for that. Now, with cameos, it's a little bit different because it's not a whole character; it's just an assist. And while it's a couple weeks out, and you have way more content creators now. Like you have yourself, Maximilian, Ketchup and Mustard. You know, everyone who's doing content, everyone uses his cameo the first couple days he's out because it's the hot thing to do. But there's no way you can fully explore how this cameo is going to interact with the roster in the span of 2.5 weeks before this tournament.
Yeah.
So as a competitor, I would hate it because I can't really properly prepare for that. As a spectator, I would love it because I get to see how this cameo is used with all these different teams. Potentially, you'll still have your Janet Cages and your Chameleons, I'm sure, but yeah, it's kind of a mixed bag. I prefer that it would be the old 1 month rule. You have 1 month where this character is just not allowed to be used in this tournament. There are plenty of other tournaments to be used. Hell, in a month from now, we'll be at CEO, Evo, any of these other tournaments. It won't really matter as much. I think they should have let this one cook a little bit longer, just in case something were to happen.
Yeah, because like 2 weeks is definitely not enough time to like, hey, look at this game breaking thing that we just found, and we didn't find it for like 2 weeks, and now we're rolling into a tournament major. There's no fix for it, and then on top of that, once again, you bringing this character in to begin with already brought some major bugs with input delay and holding inputs and eating inputs that I don't know about everybody else, but I'm paying a couple $1,000 to get out and go to this tournament, and I would really hate it if I had a situation where like, well, dude, what happened? I went to do this and the game just did nothing, and I lost because of it.
And what's that mean for the devs? Like, I'm sure they watch everything normally, but if you know that this cameo has been out for a week and a half, 2 weeks, and you have this tournament coming up, now you have to really pay attention to everything, because if something's game breaking, you have to try to see if you can get a hot fix out before the tournament starts.
Yeah.
And the likelihood of that is fairly minimal. So now, okay, are we going to let this rock? Are we going to just announce that day, like the Friday, that, hey, this character can't be used, there's too many game breaking things going on? Well, what happens to everyone then who planned to use Movado, who now have to switch their strategy back to whatever cameo it is before? Like, it's just a lot.
Yeah. It's a lot on the plate.
Yeah.
But another thing I want to bring up for this subject, this is going to be my first time going to Combo Breaker. You have gone several times, yes?
Yep. What
would somebody brand new to Combo Breaker, what could they expect to see and experience while there?
You're going to want to bring some Dr. Scholl's, because it's a 24-hour venue, and it's one of those events where you will want to enjoy all 24 hours of that venue. Okay. The floor is a little on the hard side, so bring something very comfortable to walk in, because you're going to be up on your feet a lot. Other than that, it's definitely one of the premier events. I always make it a point to go, even if I'm not actively competing in something. There's usually a huge arcade, so if you're not really into the mainstream fighters, there's plenty of turbo cabinets or third strike cabinets to play on, Vampire Saber, whatever your fix is, there's something for it. But I'd say my number one piece of advice is to bring something comfortable to walk and wear on your feet, because you're going to be on your feet a lot.
Okay.
So are they, for the most part, like ADA compliant? I actually have to use like a walker, so that's why I was wondering.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, they should be.
And looks like we are on the final subject of the night. I know some of y'all have been waiting for it, and I appreciate your patience listening to us drone on like an old lady's knitting circle. But final subject of the night, and like I said before, we are going into spoiler territory here. This is your one and only warning. X-Men'97. So the season is officially over as of Wednesday. Pretty much all but guaranteed a season 2 and 3.
I think it's been announced already, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, it has? Okay, excellent. Yeah, see, this is what happens when you practically live at work.
It's just a slight difference for anyone who knows Bo Mayo. They're honoring his vision, because like the second season had already been like written out. They're honoring his vision and moving forward with what with what was already made while he was still there. But when it comes to season 3, they're looking for a new showrunner.
Gotcha.
So season 2 was still going to be a lot of what his influence in writing was.
And what was the whole controversy of him leaving the show? And
we still don't know.
Really?
We still don't know exactly why he was fired. Just that apparently it might be related to the same reason he was removed from The Witcher, because he was the showrunner in there as well.
Wow. All right.
So yeah, so it's something we don't know.
I can tell you what it was.
That
he dared to put Gambit in a crop top for 20 seconds on screen.
No.
Those
Not
20
only that.
seconds, they're like, nah, bro, no, you got to get up out of here.
No, no, it's a two-piece thing. He also dared to do the one thing that Disney didn't want to do, and they gave Rogue back her ass in the last episode.
You dared to make Cyclops cool. Nah. We have 50 years of comic memes about how trash this character is. You made him cool. Nah, get up out of here.
Cyclops has done a lot of dick things in the comics. And then, like, the first episode, it was like, it feels wrong to like this character.
They made me like Jubilee. Like, how?
Of all the characters that actually wound up getting one hell of a glow up, I was actually shocked it was her. Like
she's always been like there. I'm like, okay, the yellow rain slicker, fireworks, get out of here. But I'm like, no, okay. And her episode, I'm like, yo, this is okay, Jubilee, future Jubilee, future.
The show was honestly like, because like I never really knew too much about Jubilee to an extent, which I'm kind of ashamed of because the X-Men are my favorite group. It's forcing me to go back and look in order to see just how strong Jubilee is, because she's actually a lot dangerous than what people realize. Like her being able like to detonate just any matter at the subatomic level.
The biggest thing I remember, because like growing up watching the original X-Men cartoon, she didn't really have a lot of high spots in the show, but she eventually made her way into the comics, especially with like the Jim Lee runs and stuff like that. I remember very vividly that like nobody gave a shit about Jubilee at all until they turned her into a vampire.
And Jubilee was the audience character. Cool. That's why, because she was the audience character.
Yeah, and Wolverine's technically pseudo daughter, because like out of the X-Men, depending on the iterations you look at, I mean, he has Lore, which is his actual daughter, but Jubilee and Rogue have always been his two unofficial daughters. Even in the video game Midnight Suns, when you have conversations with him, he continually talks about how when you're talking about magic, about how he needs to let her have her space and not baby her, because God knows he doesn't need another Jubilee.
Mm-hmm. I knew about Vampire Jubilee, and I would liken what King said. While Shadowcat would be closer in terms of the actual powers at play, Jubilee is a good example, kind of like Mirio. I don't know if you guys how deep you are in the anime thing, but My Hero, she is like the same type of character, Miro, where the power itself may not seem like it's really that useful until you find someone that's actually trained it to become useful.
Mm-hmm. There was a key. I mean, there was a key difference, because it's like when she phases, she's conscious of everything that's happening. She knows where she's going. She knows where she's coming out. With Mirio, the way his permutation works, he can't see. Everything is just pure darkness. He doesn't he doesn't know when or where he's coming out. His skill has been trained to just be able to predict where he's coming out. So she has an advantage. His is just all skill because he doesn't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you wouldn't think firing fireworks out of your fingertips would be that impressive or useful against people that can, throw tanks at you for fun. But until you find, like, we saw a glimpse of it in the Mojo episode with her future self, what she could be when she keeps training and becomes an adult.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I thought was like absolutely amazing.
Oh, the not only visuals, everything. I was completely in love with that episode.
Yeah, like that episode was fantastic. Not only because you brought back one of my favorite characters from the original show. I thought Mojo was hilarious back in the day. And not only that, but you showed us what peak Jubilee could actually be, and it's like, wow, she's actually a badass. Look at that shit.
The one knock I give that episode, and I was waiting for it, was when they had digitized Magneto come out. I wanted to say, "I am Magneto. Welcome to die," and they didn't do it. And I was like, "Oh,
I wanted that X-Men Arcade reference so badly."
Yeah, it's like Avengers Assemble. It's like, "I welcome to die." Like, yes, and they didn't do it. I'm like, you left me you edged me. You got me to the very edge, and then you pulled back.
I was halfway there. So I have a fun little question for everybody here on the panel. Who do you think had the best, not so much glow up, who do you think was like the best performed X-Man out of the entire series, and who honestly wound up kind of being the most useless? So I will start with Hoarder.
For me, Magneto. I thought the Magneto story arc was really good. I thought the idea of him trying to work with the government and everything in the beginning was neat. And then him being completely let down, and then the events that occur on Genosha. There's a lot going on with that character, especially in the final episode. Yeah, I really enjoyed what they did with him. Man, a useless character. It's really difficult to say because I feel like everyone had a purpose. God, I don't know. What does everyone else think about a useless character?
I will go first.
Don't do that.
What?
No, I'm talking to. Don't do that.
He was the audience character here.
What? Oh, Obi's saying like most useless was Bishop.
I forgot really Bishop was in the show until the last episode.
Yeah, like he wasn't even there.
Horrible.
So one of my only critiques, one of the only issues I had with the season, otherwise I thought it was amazing, is it felt disjointed, giving half an episode to Storm's very important story arc with Forge, and then breaking that up with the hilarity and some comedy there with the Mojo. I felt that was a weird decision. I feel they should have been separate episodes that had that each had that story. It just kind of like threw me a little bit, but that the only issue I had. Otherwise, I thought all the storylines were really good.
I'll give you
Rag next. Your favorite character out of the series and your most useless.
Favorite character. I'd have to go Gambit because he's always been one of my favorite X-Men. Just favorite Marvel characters in general. I was very surprised he didn't get revived. I thought for sure the story was going to twist to Cable finds a way to go back in time and stop the Genosha thing happening. Now we saw it with the post-credit thing. What happens with that later? I'm sure we'll get into that in a bit. But Gambit would be the number one. Magneto would be number two because I agreed with him. Like it's the argument he presented was what I'd be like, you know what? Yeah, I agree with what I understand why you're doing what you're doing. And I would be one of the people who would have sided with him in that instance.
Yeah.
As far as most useless, I'm going to take Bishop off the table because that'd just be too easy. I would say, barring the events of the final 2 to 3 episodes, that Xavier was the most useless character because he wasn't present through most of the show. He was busy trying to clap alien cheeks and, hey, my brother, get it while you can.
For the Shi'ar.
For the Shi'ar, hey. And I'm not mad at you, but a whole lot of shit went down when you were gone. And then to come back and have the audacity to be like, well, guys, I would have slapped his bald head. I got one too. I'm like, I would have slapped him out of his wheelchair. Like, no. You ain't about to say that to me.
Hey, that man, that man wanted to be a pet. Let that man be a pet.
That'd have been the fullest lick the palm in his back.
Get the baby powder out and everything. Just make sure the handprint sticks.
Like,
all right, great. Your favorite character and most useless.
Most useless, it would have to be Sunspot because I do agree with what Rag said about Xavier, but
is he an X-Man?
He's not an. I look at him the same way I looked at Jubilee, the way the original series first started, when she wasn't an X-Man yet per se, but she definitely was around for a lot of the shenanigans that took place. You could say that you could say that with Sunspot here, and then in a couple of the situations like the Motendo episode, where he got Jubilee would have been much better if he wasn't there. I'm gonna just be completely honest.
He didn't have a whole lot there.
it's like I don't dislike Sunspot as a character. It's just you didn't get to really see him do anything until like the very end of the season. To be completely honest, and my most like character, it would have to be a mix between either Morph or Magneto. Morph purely just because the the comedic timing that Morph had was very hilarious. Not to mention, he was essentially a walking callback to so many other past characters, like featuring like other mutants and other heroes. Like we saw him turn into Hulk, saw him turn into Lady Deathstrike. So that was definitely nice to see, and it was a nice little nod as to some of these characters who we probably couldn't see in the show at the time. Magneto is specifically because like as I was younger, right? I'm pretty sure as like a lot of people who when you were younger getting into comics, you tend to lean a bit more towards Charles's side, right? In the sense of his vision is something that can become true and it's something that could possibly happen. But as you get older, you tend to realize Charles was so wrong. As I've gotten older, I've been leaning more and more towards Magneto and watching him go through his story arc in the show, seeing him try his hardest to change his ways because he wants to be better. And even though he's going about it a different he's going about it a different way. Granted, it's not what Charles is doing exactly, but he is trying a different method. He's trying to make a safe haven. Like as you can see with Genosha, they were kind of doing what they were doing with Krakoa in the comics before Krakoa gets there in the show, but all of that pretty much got taken away, like with World War Orchis that's happening right now in the comics. Seeing that and then having to see him revert back and just deal with all those difficulties and whatnot, it's like it was nice to see. Like Magneto was definitely the standout for me this season.
I fell off the Charles bandwagon back when he got Petra, Sway, Vulcan, and Darwin all fucked up. Taken to that island, and I was like, "Oh, my bad. Hey, get my other team up in here." Like, nah,
man. For me, I think that it's pretty uniform across the board. Like, best character in the series was definitely by far Magneto, with Morph being a very, very strong runner-up. Honorable mention to Cyclops, because you took a boring ass character and made him interesting, and not only interesting, but you made him look cool.
He was a Chad. That first episode had him looking like a Chad.
Yo, my man took the superhero landing and they're like, no, let me show you how it's done.
Yeah, let me amp it up a little. But with Morph, like, I can morph into all these different people, but not really taking into account that like he can use some of those abilities that these people have.
See, I didn't think that was the thing. I don't remember Morph ever being able to use other mutants' powers. I thought he could just take on like their physical. I think he can do
it within limits.
Because he's turning into like Quicksilver, Colossus, Hulk.
Yeah, that was wild. That was really cool how they could give cameos to those heroes through him. I was like, that's really clever. Also, real quick, I want to say it's also J.P. Karliak, who is the voice of Joker in Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. I don't. I was like, go ahead, Rex.
I agree. I thought it was cool when he was doing it, but it kind of made me mad because I saw like Psylocke and Magic and Spiral, and I'm like, why can't we get these characters? It's a limited cast, obviously, but I just maybe want to see more of these characters actually in the show.
But I'm sure we'll see them in the future since we're getting seasons 2 and 3. Absolutely. Like the fact that Magic is on that board at the end of the series, like pretty much already went, okay, we're going to see her later.
And Wanda, for example, she's off planet.
Yeah.
So it's like I feel like these are characters that I feel like they would have loved to include it, but for whatever reasons they probably couldn't. And Morph was literally just the easiest way to get some of these characters showing off before we actually get to see them later on. So it's like we can't give you the full plate now, but here's a little teaser in the hopes that like this will kind of tide you over into that.
Yeah. The big thing with Magic though, like with this supposed to be like still 1997, if you go back in the like the original show, like she's still a child,
Mm-hmm.
but now she's fully grown, and it's like, but in the show, it's only been like 2 years. What's going on? But
alternate reality timelines, bro.
Yeah, like you could do that
Yeah.
because you brought in Cable, you brought in Bishop, so like the sky's the limit with that.
Or they just tweak Limbo a little bit to make it so that she ages quicker there than
Yeah,
she
you could
would
do that
in
100%, absolutely.
in a normal world. And it's going to the because correct me if I'm wrong, aren't we jumping straight to the modern age next season?
I don't know.
Well, they had. Are we getting into the end episode?
Yeah, we can go ahead and get into it. Like,
so they had
the disclaimer's already out.
Yeah, so they got separated in different time periods. So a couple of them were trapped in ancient Egypt, and we saw Apocalypse before he became like Apocalypse.
Yeah,
and Sabanur,
Sabanur. We saw the present timeline where Apocalypse is he's that dude, and he's getting ready to bring back Gambit as the Horseman of Death, which probably lead into the Four Horsemen storyline.
Yeah,
and then we have an alternate future with Nathan and Cyclops and Jean, who are in the far distant future. We don't know what happened in that timeline. I'm assuming they just wiped out most of humanity, or Apocalypse rules the world, or however they want to do it. But
what I'm thinking the 3 time periods are is like, since it's pretty clear where they're going with season 2, is like, okay, you have the past with Sabanur and all that. You have modern times where you see Apocalypse finding Gambit. I'm assuming timeline number 3, where Cyclops and Jean are, is Age of Apocalypse. So like that would be a pretty fair assessment.
Yeah. Also, I would imagine that in the modern time, if that's where we are going, we're going to see Krakoa in some instance, because Krakoa has been teased. Like if you go back and look at the teasers, that's there. And Krakoa is a recent thing for the X-Men and just mutants in general. So like J. Kuhn said, the older story, like I feel like it might be the aftermath of Age of Apocalypse, for example, where like everything else is kind of like a kind of deserty Mad Max type of weird setting, and we're looking at the characters who are surviving outside of Apocalypse's empire, if that makes any sense. And then
that makes sense.
Yeah, and then we possibly see them run into Apocalypse sometime later on in the season. Then we're dealing with, his creation back in the past with the characters who are stuck there. In the present is where I believe the past and the future are gonna collide. Like, this is how it happens. This is what it becomes. Both sides are telling the present, this is what you need to do to stop it. Like I feel like everything is just gonna collide back in the present. That's why everything is split the way it is.
Now, I actually didn't get to mention my useless X-Men. And I am basing this solely off character development, because, like, if we're going based on character development, Rogue and Magneto are at the top, bar none.
Yeah.
Most useless, I really honestly think it's Wolverine.
Oh yeah, there wasn't a lot of change
not
from
a
the
lot
character.
there.
And I loved every second of it. From having to watch all the movies it's X-Men. No, it's not. It's Wolverine featuring some of the X-Men.
Yes, some of the X-Men.
I love it. Wolverine in the X-Men cartoon, which was actually pretty fire. I'm not going to cap.
Yeah,
but,
Wolverine in the X-Men was good.
I like Wolverine, but I like the fact that he got to take a step back, and we got to see other characters get pushed to the forefront and have actual development in their stories.
Although, shout outs to Wolverine finally actually getting to stab somebody.
Yeah.
He actually got to put the claws to work. In the old show, it's like he'd put him out, and unless it was a Sentinel, he just got flung to the other side of the room, which happened
I felt like this was written for an older audience, actually. So looking back at those older episodes, they did tackle a lot of interesting topics and everything, but here it got really relatively adult with some of the things that these characters are going through, and very dark. So I really appreciated that, too. I was not expecting that.
Look, also, side note, I want to show some love, because you brought up a weird age of Marvel animation, which was great, and people hated it for some reason, like Wolverine and X-Men. Very sad that only got one season, especially with how it ended, like X-Men'97, with the timeline being changed and Apocalypse and Sinister now being the front runners for the next season. Also, another cartoon during that time I feel like not a lot of people loved and it doesn't get the respect it deserves. Iron Man Armored Adventures.
Yeah. I am too much of a fan of the 90s Iron Man cartoon that I just cannot acknowledge Armored Adventures.
That intro was something else.
Oh, yeah.
See, like, the intro is, again, the intro is honestly one of the best animated intros that Marvel has, hands down.
I would say up until 97, the bar for me was always X-Men Evolution. Like, it had some, things in there, but I liked some of the characters they brought in, like their take on certain characters. But this was definitely, this was the show to beat. Although they did Callisto dirty, and they did the Morlocks dirty in general. I was kind of mad about that. I felt racially motivated.
Yeah, like what?
I was like, "There's no way they're just gonna kill the Morlocks." Like, oh, they did. Well, damn.
We're getting dark.
Like they didn't. I don't think Callisto was even shown on camera. I didn't remember seeing her even in the background.
No, I don't remember seeing her at all. Actually, now that I think about it,
she might have been. If we're being honest, there was a lot of X-Men cameos that people noticed and didn't notice, and it was more than likely because everybody was just hip shaking in the background when we got to Genosha. Everybody was dancing, having fun, making love. You had one of the strongest telepaths on the planet just hip rolling in the streets, and he was nowhere to be found when the Sentinels came to attack.
I was salty that the Goblin Queen was relegated to one part of an episode and didn't get her own little mini arcs. I feel like the Madeline could have been like an arc enemy. Like
that's what I thought based on the action figures. Also, the Executioner I thought was going to be a really big thing too. Again, based on the action figures.
Yeah.
All right. So I have this pulled up here for those that have never seen it. Some of you may be too young, and I forgive you. This is the intro that we're talking about. This is one of the greatest animated series intros of all time, and it is for season 2 of Iron Man.
Yeah, man. Yep. You got to look up Armored Adventures after this.
This man had no reason to be this buff.
Yeah, he was. I think this is the only time I've ever seen Tony Stark just unnaturally buff. Like, it's weird.
Bro got the Thor hair too.
I think I watched this I think literally yesterday.
It's like Pedro Pascal put on a wig and hit the gym.
Now you got to look up Armored Adventures.
Like a thin mustache and a mullet, right?
Look up Armored Adventures.
Yeah, pull up Armored Adventures.
Okay.
Now, while you're doing that, I noticed your title card earlier where you said it was great and Spider-Man is next. I would agree with you if not for one thing, and it's something that it's been a stuck in me for decades now. I want them to go back and finish Spider-Man Unlimited. That should left on a dope cliffhanger with the symbiote takeover and the Bestials, and we never got to the conclusion because fucking Pokemon got that shit canceled. I want to see an ending to Spider-Man Unlimited.
The whole story behind Unlimited and how it had to be changed the way it was because it was supposed to be a continuation to the 90s show, but for some reason they couldn't do it.
I mean, they need to finish this with the success of X-Men'97. They need to do Spider-Man 98.
Yeah,
that'd be great. That'd be great.
Because Bodemeyer confirmed it. He found MJ. Like that cliffhanger got resolved in X-Men. He found MJ.
Yeah. All right, so here's Armored Adventures.
He's a man on a mission in armor of high-tech ammunition.
The song's already released.
Trapped on the edge of an endless game. His teenage life will never be the same. In a dangerous world, he does all he can.
This is just making me think of Ruby the more I look at it.
Yeah, because I will say this, because I know this is the issue a lot of people had with the show. It was primarily the fact that they made Iron Man and friends teenagers, but only half the cast were teenagers, like him, Rhodey, Pepper, Masquerade. Only half of them were teenagers, while the other half of the world, like Widow and Hawkeye and Fury and Hulk, they were all their correct ages. If you just looking past the fact that some of them are teenagers, the storylines in Armored Adventures are actually pretty great. Not to mention they give a lot of love to some of Iron Man's lesser villains. Like if you were to watch Armored Adventures, you would think Whiplash is a lot more of a serious threat than what he actually is, because that's how cool they made characters like him and Crimson Dynamo and Unicorn look in the show.
Or you could just watch the 90s animated show and see that they were very much a threat there too. So
that's what I thought about that.
Like I've never seen a show make Living Laser look like a world-ending threat, but the Iron Man animated show did.
That's what I thought about that Spider-Man cartoon where he was brought into S.H.I.E.L.D. as a
Ultimate Spider-Man.
Ultimate Spider-Man with Drake Bell. I
didn't mind that one.
Yeah. Was it Ultimate Spider-Man? Because it was one where like he was like Fury brought him in, and it was like him and Iron Fist and White Tiger.
Ultimate Spider-Man. Yeah. The one after was the one with the animation switch where it was him and Miles and Gwen, Anya and whatnot. And funny enough, a lot of people didn't care for that one. I actually did. That show was actually like pretty decent too. They even touched on the Superior Spider-Man arc for a little bit. They went through Doc Ock's reformation. They had Peter's identity get revealed to the school, which was definitely a weird take, but it worked out. Like you can attend this school, but we can't ever see Spider-Man here on campus again, or your ass is gone.
Yeah.
What was the name of the MTV series?
I think it was just like
Spider-Man, the new animated series with Neil Patrick Harris. No, the new animated series. Oh.
Spectacular was good too.
Yeah,
I've heard a lot of great things.
Okay, Jacob. Sir, very cool. There's something I want you to look up. Look up Spectacular Spider-Man, Venom versus Spider-Man in the Backyard. There's a reason why this show has one of the best if Rags is watching, I'm pretty sure he would agree. While Spectacular is one of the best adaptations of Spider-Man that we've seen.
But we are running out of time.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Give me the X-Men'97. Give me the Spider-Man 98. Give me Spider-Man Unlimited. Give me Savage Dragon. Give me all the shit that I grew up on. Street Sharks.
Give him Wildcats too while you're at it.
Thundercat. No, not Thundercats. Wildcats.
Yeah. Earth's Mightiest Heroes 2 Avengers, because season 3 is supposed to be magic and mutants.
Yeah, if any show needs a revival, it's definitely Avengers EMH, because Avengers Assemble was not it.
No.
Avengers Assemble was horrible.
It was for the first 2.5 seasons, and then once that animation switch kicked in, that's when everything went downhill.
Yeah.
But for the first 2.5 seasons, it was actually great with Iron Skull and the Cabal and one. It was actually pretty decent.
Actually, I would trade all of that, -97, to get a definitive end to the Spawn series that HBO did back in the 90s.
Speaking my soul right now.
Pissed me off. That ending, I'm like, okay, next episode ad is gone. Like,
yeah. But that one, Daddy Todd McFarlane has the reins on that one. So the series ended because he said, I'm done.
He's supposedly working on a Spawn horror movie, but see, those things take years and years to actually, like they were talking about, what was that, Five Nights at Freddy's? For like 3 or 4 years, they were talking about that movie. Finally came out last year,
Yeah, Todd's been talking about doing another movie for God knows how long.
Yeah, I remember reading about that.
I think that's one of the big allures of Image Comics is everybody keeps the rights to their characters.
Yeah.
And you are not doing anything without Todd say so. And when he's ready, then he'll do it. And I'm pretty sure he's gone back and rewrote the script himself like 2 or 3 times at this point. Like at this point, I'm not confident the movie's ever coming out. But all right, that unfortunately is our time for tonight. What is everybody's final thoughts on X-Men'97? Mine is I need Spider-Man 98 now. And I wouldn't mind seeing a revival of Iron Man as well because of all the cameos that we saw on the show.
Mm-hmm.
I think that in probably the modern time period, we're going to see more of, we saw them a bit. We saw like Psylocke and Polaris. We saw Silver Samurai. I think Omega Red. I think we're going to see more of those characters come in. I can't wait to see Gambit's death and Rogue's reaction to seeing him. I'm living for that episode.
Yeah. And how about you, Greek?
Okay, we're back. I would like to see. I definitely would like to see specifically Spider-Man come back, just because. If I can't get the continuation of Spectacular Spider-Man, I will settle for 90s Spider-Man. I also would like to see what's the word, like a 90s Avengers cartoon, because I'm not sure if there was one. I do not count United They Stand, because United They Stand sucked. I would like to see a 90s Avengers cartoon with that cast specifically, or even like a Defenders show, right? Because we saw, well, who was it we saw with Cloak and Dagger? It was Daredevil, right?
Daredevil.
Yep.
I can't believe I forgot those two. I was like, oh my god.
Yeah, like I would definitely like to see those two have some type of show in the future. Overall, I would like to see any 90s show if they're up to the same standard as 97, right?
Absolutely.
Be it new or a continuation. If it's again, same universe, same standard, everything is treated with the proper respect, I wouldn't mind it. Like right, because there's definitely a lot they can do with it, and hopefully if they do, they won't make a dumb decision like they're doing with What If and stopping that at season 3. Because What If is a show idea that can go on forever.
On
That's man,
Be a whole other episode.
Yeah, that could be a Marvel What If could be an episode of the Primecast all in of itself. But all right, that is our time for tonight. Thank you very much for watching, everybody. We greatly appreciate you coming in and hanging out with us. And before we go, King Greek, why don't you put yourself on the map and let everybody know that where they could find you?
Name is King Greek. You guys can find me on Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube at King Greek. I primarily do superhero gaming content, but I'm also starting to dig into comic recaps as well. You guys can take a look at my YouTube shorts and see that for yourself.
All right. We will see you backstage, sir. Hell of a show. Hey, Rag.
Hey, yo.
Hey. All right. Why don't you put yourself on the map and let everybody know where they can find you?
Well, you can find me generally on Twitter more days than not. If you just search Ragnarok FGC, I'm the first bald-headed dude to pop up there. Always down to discuss comics, Dungeons and Dragons. I'm the high priest of praise be. If you know, you know. If you don't, hey, after dark.
And always a fan of calling me out on my salt.
You jackass.
Yeah, love you too. I'll see you backstage. All right, so that's another one in the books, Hoarder.
I thought it was another very good episode.
Oh, yeah. So why don't you go ahead and put yourself on the map, and I'll see you backstage.
Okay, so the main place to find me is twitch.tv/HoarderGamer. Currently, I'm doing a lot of Diablo 4. I'll be doing the new episode of Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League when that comes out. Oh, and also, as I mentioned, on Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Central, Hoarder's Comic Flex, and that's comics, toys, and games. Everybody, thank you very much.
All right, I'll see you back there. And, of course, if you're watching, you already know where you can find me, but you can find me at all my other socials at JCoon Prime, YouTube at JCoon Prime, and then, of course, I'm going to be showing some more love to it once I come back from Combo Breaker. Be sure to subscribe to my second channel, Prime Plays. A lot of the single-player content is going to be moving over to there. And, of course, you can always hang out here over on the live stream. Hit the follow button if you haven't already. Subscribe if you're willing to support our cause over here. It's going to be a couple weeks before the next episode of the Primecast. Going to be pretty busy this week getting ready to leave for Chicago for Combo Breaker. And then we will have all the week after preparing for Destiny 2, the final shape. We should have a Primecast out just before the release of the final shape. So expect a lot more Destiny stuff to come in later episodes. So thank you everybody for watching. Have a great night.